Imagine being proud and excited to send out your resume because you knew it gave you an unfair advantage. So if you're stuck writing your resume, or if you've ever doubted whether it was good enough to land you an interview, you need to watch this video, because over the next 5 minutes, I'm going to share with you the #1 trap that I see most people falling into that keeps them stuck in resume writer's block, banging your head against your keyboard, right? And I'm going to show you what to do instead to make yourself irresistible to hiring managers. My name's Anthony Kuo, and over the course of my career, I've reviewed literally hundreds of resumes. First as a senior manager at a Fortune 500 company, and now as a career satisfaction coach. And let me tell you something, right? When you look at that many resumes, you start to notice the difference between the ones that end up in the trash and the ones that actually get you hired. And I personally use what I learned in my own resume, and it helped me to negotiate a 30% raise before I even walked into the interview room, right? And it's not just for me, like cool for me, but I've seen this work over and over again for my clients. In fact, just to give you an example, one of my clients wrote such a powerful resume that when the hiring managers saw it, they got so excited. They called her, they wanted to skip the phone interview, they asked her, can you come in the very next day? And she got hired with the promotion, even though she was changing industries, right? So I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to brag or anything, even though I am proud of it. I'm telling you this because I want to illustrate that this works. Your resume can and will do the heavy lifting for you, but only if you write it in the right way. Because you see, resume writing, it's made out to be a lot more complicated than it actually is. It's actually really, really simple, right? Step 1, you figure out why somebody should hire you in the first place. Step 2, put it down in writing. And step 3, just make it look nice. That's it. Now, the #1 mistake that I see most people making is that they start on step number 3, right? Trying to pick out the best font, filling out templates, wordsmithing that same bullet point over and over again because it's not coming out right, and all of that before you even know why somebody should hire you. And if you've been doing that, I don't blame you at all, because you've been bombarded with a lot of well-intentioned advice, but it's keeping you stuck, right? If you Google resume writing tips, you'll see a whole load of stuff like 15 tips to write a great resume, or 43 do's and don'ts to resume writing, or whatever, right? Like, you get the idea. And for the most part, it's all accurate and useful and important stuff to know. So what's the problem, right? Here's the problem. None of those tips and tricks actually help you write a resume, do they? Right? The perfect font isn't going to tell you what to brag about. Fussing over that, getting the wording perfectly right, doesn't identify what your most compelling achievements are, right? And you've probably experienced this one yourself, but massaging those statistics, making yourself out to look very impressive on paper, it doesn't necessarily make that gnawing feeling of not being good enough, right? It doesn't make it go away. So the real problem is that these articles all teach surface level tactics. Worrying about that makes sense at the end of the process, right? When you're trying to package it all nicely. But those tips and tricks are a distraction at the beginning, when you're trying to figure out why somebody should hire you. So if you start by worrying about stuff like keywords and formatting and whatever else, if you're worrying about that before you have that substance down, it's kind of like trying to build a car, but by starting with the paint coat, right? It doesn't work that way. You need to have a frame in place, a strong, solid frame in place before you even worry about what color it's going to be, right? So what should you do instead? How do you get that frame down for yourself? It's really simple. Just go back to the beginning and keep it really, really light and simple. All you have to do is answer this one question. What are you proud of, and why should somebody care about that? If you can answer this one simple little question, you'll be miles ahead of everyone who's stuck fiddling around with their bullet points, right? And here's the best part, because when you allow yourself to actually slow down. Start at the beginning at step 1. The rest flows so much faster and more naturally, right? Because when you know exactly what you're proud about, when you're so sure and certain of why people should care, not only does it become easier to talk about what you've done, but you start to feel a lot more confident about it, right? So if you're feeling stuck in your resume, give those tips and tricks a rest for just a moment. You can always go back to them when it's time for that, right? And instead, slow down and really take the time to answer this question. What are you proud of, and why should somebody care? And you'll be surprised at how much doing that, slowing down, gets you to speed up in the long run. So here's my challenge to you. Leave me a comment or send me a private message and let me know, what are you proud of? So my name's Anthony Kuo, your career satisfaction coach. And I'm really proud of the work that I do to help my clients land in jobs that they're excited to wake up for. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're proud of.